Not many people know this, but the Walt Disney Company over the last year declared a $12 billion loss or something like that over in Disney's India unit. That was right before they merged with their largest competitor, otherwise known as exiting the market. Well, one of the companies that Disney says is their fault for ruining Disney's prospects in the subcontinent has now ended their fight with Sony, and Disney has declared they won $1 billion. Let's talk about Z Media here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is one of the only people on the planet that I can have this discussion with, Mr. Culture Casino. Culture, did you think we would be talking about Disney's India business again?
No, I did. I thought this had been, settled, gone and dusted when the Reliance Media showed up and took the oopsie purchase out of Disney's hands to the tune of some, I don't know, lots of billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, let's just, for those of you who are not aware, Reliance Media, which is the largest media company in India, bought Disney's India business for $4 billion. Actually, I think it was closer to it was $4 billion. I'm remembering the math back here because Disney failed to make a mark in that market. And so there's an antitrust case or whatever the equivalent of the Sherman Act is out there to try to make sure that Disney doesn't end up having a monopoly. Actually, it's Reliance Media that would have the monopoly out there because Disney is a minority shareholder in whatever the merged company is. But essentially, Disney sold its India business to Reliance Media. And there are some rumors here that Kevin Mayer is the one that orchestrated this sale. He wasn't the one who bought it, but he is the one who sold it. Now, Culture, how much did they buy it for? They bought these assets in the Fox purchase, right?
Yeah, $71 billion in total. And part of that was the acquisition of Star India. So all that happened back in, 2019?
Yep. And so they bought it for a supposed valuation of $16 billion. And just a little personal history here. When we were on the Valiant Renegade podcast over there, going over the Disney earnings call, there was a big change in Disney's effective tax rate here. It lowered in a way that we were like, what's going on here? And it was noted in there that there was a massive shift because they had to take a very large loss specifically from the sale of Disney's India business there. Now, you could say they merged. I think what they essentially did was sold their assets in order to get a minority seat here. I think they were kind of running with their tails between their legs. And rather than exit the market entirely, which that was the rumor that Disney was going to exit the market entirely for $10 billion, instead they got bought by Reliance Media for $4 billion,
which meant the approximate $16 to $17 billion that was supposed to be the capital value in India at the time. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, they took quite the bath.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that their India business was lowered in value is because they had to get rid of those cricket rights. Now, they did sublease those cricket rights, the IPL. Forgive me if I get the terms a little off here because I'm not a huge fan of cricket, but they sublet those over to a company called Z Media.
Yes.
And Z Media said, yeah, we'll pay you for your cricket rights here. And then they didn't pay them for those cricket rights, despite the fact that Z Media signed up and said, yeah, we'll pay for those. Now, I realize I'm putting a lot of data at you guys without graphics here, but I'm enjoying this conversation, as it were. Z Media also not doing very well in India either. Culture, do you want to explain what was going on with Z Media and why they failed in their attempt to pay for these cricket rights?
Sure. They were struggling to put a deal together to sell themselves to Sony because they were having some trouble. And that deal for, I think it was $10 billion at the time. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that deal fell through. So they didn't have the money to pay for these rights.
Yeah. So Sony was going to come along, and that would have been a very large cash infusion
Yes.
here, and this is from January of this year. We don't even need to go to the article, but I'm going to at least put the thing here for Bloomberg. This was from January. Sony sends termination letter to Z over India merger. Says some conditions not met. Seeks $90 million breakup fee. Leadership standoff killed deal. Z contests Sony's claim. Sony got a look at Z's books and said, and this is Z the company, not Z the pronoun. Z Media, that they looked at their books and said something is not quite how Z represented it, allegedly. Now, not long after that, Z and Sony, this is, well, I should say a little bit longer after that. August 27th, Bloomberg is also reporting that Z and Sony India have now settled their legal dispute over the collapsed merger deal. And they're both saying that they each owe each other money. But now we're going to go to this one from Yahoo Finance. Finally, Disney's India unit. Now that we've got all that cleared up, Disney's India unit is seeking $940 million in damages from Z. What is Air going to do? The India unit of Walt Disney Company has sought $940 million in damages from Z Entertainment Enterprise Ltd, stretching out a legal battle with the Mumbai-based broadcaster after it defaulted on payment for TV rights for cricket matches. Disney's Star, previously called Star India, filed the claim for damages and termination of the alliance pact before the London Court of International Arbitration, Z Entertainment said in a stock exchange filing Wednesday. Star is also seeking costs, expenses, and applicable interest until full payment, Z said, while refuting all claims, including the demand for damages. They didn't pay their bills, as I understand it.
Well, they're going at each other for the inability to deliver performance. That's all. That's what it is. And they both believe that they're correct in that specific performance was not offered in either direction. So that's why this case is moving forward. This is bonkers sauce.
Bonkers. The dispute pertains to Z's failure to meet payment deadlines agreed as part of a $1.4 billion licensing deal with Star. That's not rupees, that's dollars, which gave the Indian broadcaster exclusive TV rights for men's matches of the International Cricket Council. Is this where they sit at a table and talk about cricket? I don't know. The arbitration is at its initial stage in the tribunal. Oh, it's another council. Is yet to determine if the company is liable in any manner, Z said. The latest claim for damages comes at a time when Z announced settling its legal dispute with Sony Pictures Networks India after a failed merger. Separately, Walt Disney signed a binding agreement in late February to combine its India unit with Viacom 18 Media PVT, a part of billionaire Mukesh Ambani's media empire, to create an $8.5 billion entertainment firm with a giant share in cricket broadcasting rights.
To add a little bit more context, see, India Star built its business on the back of cricket.
Yeah.
And when Disney failed to acquire all of the exclusive rights for the various cricket things that they had for a while in 2022, this all started to fall apart very quickly. And the value of said, at this time now, or that point in time, Disney Star, that value was mostly lost. And you know, it wasn't worth a whole lot to begin with. We come to find out later because of what it sold for. So my goodness, this was a crazy time.
Right. And this speaks to the Disney Plus House of Cards. And I'm fully fine calling that a House of Cards, where they wanted to talk about subscriber numbers, and they were perfectly fine using all of those subscribers that made them less than $1 per user for every quarter. So less than $4 a year they were making off of India users. And they were talking about the cricket rights and all that, and then they lost those cricket rights. And at that time, right before they started realizing they were going to have huge subscriber dips, and that's normalized a little bit since then. But they got rid of those cricket rights, at least for streaming, and they changed the way they report their financials.
Yes,
and started talking about something called Disney Core, otherwise known as the places where they make more like $6 or $7 on a Disney Plus subscriber per month, as opposed to, in this case, $1, or it's 70 cents on the latest.
Yeah.
Of course, Hulu is over there making $12 per user, which is, of course, why Bob Iger desperately wants to purchase the rest of Hulu, because that's what he does. He buys large businesses that other people have built and then assumes they're going to make money forever. Growth by acquisition, as opposed to growth by building. Synergy would be great if it wasn't also hobbling the company as well. Culture, is there anything else that we need to throw in here?
Just that Disney was not able to salvage their India dreams, and now they're basically nightmares, which is why they're desperate to collect $1 billion from somebody because they need money.
Yeah, I think I'd love to sell something to Disney and then buy it back a few years later. That there was, of course, the story that we covered here on That Park Place of Lachlan Murdoch being told, those regional sports networks that you sold to Disney, you could probably buy those now for about half what you sold them for. And he said, nope, not going after that with a 10-foot pole. He said, thank you, come again. With that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters. What do you think about this? This is obviously a very obscure story. I don't think we're going to be covering the Disney deal in India again, unless there's some big dramatic thing that happens. But let us know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Like this video. It helps us to know what you like. And consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.